Welcome to Ram and Goat Astrology. Join Helena and me, Laura Lee, each week as we take you on an explorative journey of astrology and health, reading charts, talking planetary energies, while educating and entertaining you. We help you navigate the mysteries of the stars and how they affect you personally. Here we go.
Oh,
Hello, welcome to Ram and Goat Astrology. I'm Laura Lee.
hello, I am Helena. Welcome to our little corner of the world.
We're glad you're joining us. Today's episode 13. We're rocking and rolling here with our astrology chats. We've done quite a few different subjects.
We have, but today we thought we'd just sort of talk about our lives, because this is sort of how these conversations started, is because me and Laura were put together by our astrology teacher to be study buddies. And then so we would meet every week and talk about astrology. Mainly we did the homework, but we mostly talked about life and astrology, like how we were using astrology and how things were affecting our lives and all of that. And then after the course ended, we just wanted to continue talking to each other.
Kept going. We just kept going. Yeah. And then we thought we should record this and put this out because I bet people would listen. And here we are.
And if you're listening, then you're listening, I guess. There's someone listening.
Right.
Yeah.
So we started out keeping it casual and just chatting and seeing how the energies just show up in our world and what we're kind of dealing with at that moment, and then figuring out how the astrology energies playing into that and what that actually looks like in reality. I'm always fascinated with how does this particular placement show up for this person in their reality, right? Like I don't do a lot of predictive astrology. There's definitely some areas of life we can play with, but for me it's so exciting to just see how it shows up. Like I like to go back in time for specific dates and when certain things happened and look around to see how that energy manifested and what was happening with the planets. And it's kind of like baking. Like, what did I do to make this taste really good, right?
Yeah, no, I really like doing that as well. I was talking to a friend yesterday about she was asking a lot about the eclipse, the lunar eclipse that just happened 2 days ago. And then we got into her chart, and I was looking at Pluto, I was looking at Uranus, and we were going back in time. She's like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, because at that point in my life I made huge changes. And so it's sort of like this light bulb just goes up, and you can sort of, I mean, not close that chapter of your life, but you can sort of like, you get more out of it, I think.
It's like an observation instead of a judgment.
Yeah.
It's where you can look at it and go, oh, that's how that showed up. This is the energy I was dealing with, and that's the manifestation of it. And I did good dealing with what I had to deal with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't use astrology as an excuse. I know some people like to be like, well, I'm this way because this is how I am. And I'm like, but there's always a higher energy or a higher vibration you can lean into versus the lower side of it, right? And that's like the same. Yeah, that's the same with anything, whether it's Enneagram or human design or whatever, right? There's always
Enneagram. What's that?
Yeah, Enneagram. It's another personality profile thing you can do, and it's based on 9 different numbers, 1 through 9.
Okay.
I'm an Enneagram number 7, which is called the enthusiast. So I'm ridiculously optimistic about everything. And I approach things. I was actually just looking this up because a friend of mine and I are doing a collaborative process, and we're working on creating a program for healing generational trauma. And that's, both of us really are into that. And we're both on the Enneagram thing. We're both number 7. So we were looking up names for our collaboration and what we're going to call it. And it said we approach problems with cheerful determination. And I was like, yeah, it's exactly how I take on tasks. Cheerful determination, almost ridiculously so. My husband's like, this is a lot of work. And I was like, I know, Capricorn, but we're going to do it and it's going to be fun. So just let's go. Who cares how
Yeah,
much work it is? He's like,
yeah.
but it's a lot of work.
So what are you doing what are you doing about the generational trauma? What's happening? What are you doing?
We are in the process of creating a basically an offering to help people leave the past in the past is what we're working on doing, and recognizing, teaching people how to recognize how the trauma shows up, where it's showing up in your personality, in your behavior patterns, in the way you handle problems, in the way you handle your emotions or don't, right? So creating
Mm,
awareness around what generational trauma looks like and can manifest into. And then once there's awareness, then we give the tools on how to address and deal with it. And I approach
mm.
it from aromatherapy and from astrology and from releasing these emotional traumas and patterns with aromatherapy and astrology. And then my business partner Ivy approaches it through merging the masculine and feminine energy together, hypnosis, meditations. So we
Oh
approach
my
it from
God,
different angles and come at the same thing. So yeah.
that sounds amazing. Can you do it? Can you do it digitally online?
That's what we're planning on.
No,
So
maybe not. Yeah,
yeah,
really?
because she's in another state from me. So we are planning on doing like a master class and then offering one-on-one or two-on-one sessions. And then we're also working on a Patreon account as well to have ongoing
Mm,
education and stuff too. So yeah, I'm excited. I don't
that's
know
so
many
cool.
people who get jazzed up about generational trauma healing like I do.
Yeah. I mean, it just feels like this it feels like a huge chest full of gold for some reason, gold overflowing like behind this curtain, and then you just want to like if you can go there, there's these golden nuggets to pick
Yeah,
out, but
yeah,
it's hidden
yeah.
and like far away and not reachable. But yeah, if you can
All
reach it,
right,
you
let's
can
play astrology into
please.
that because it is hidden,
Yeah,
because this is the house of generational trauma, is the 12th house.
yeah.
That's hidden information, hidden from
Mm.
us. It's literally, I've got a curtain behind me for those of you who can't watch me and are listening. I've got a curtain behind me. And if I pull this curtain back, there's a whole like room back there. But it's hard for me to access right now because the curtain is there, right?
Mm.
You have to literally work on pulling the curtain back and accessing this 12th house information, which can be done several different ways. You can utilize a coach like me who has, and or Helena, who have our moons in the 12th house, so we can really help emotionally pull your stuff out. We don't do it as well for ourselves. Like it's not as easy for us to do it.
It's not because it's so much harder to look at yourself, right? Yeah.
Right. But I can do it like a piece of cake for somebody else. Like, oh, I know what I have to do. And I help them pull the curtain back and we explore all of the things that are hidden in that 12th house. And I just did a reading for a woman yesterday who had Cancer intercepted in the 12th house. So it was completely inside the 12th house. And we talked about how much past life nurturing issues are playing a role in this life, and how
Mm.
much generational trauma nurturing issues are playing a
Mm.
role in this life. And she would have never made that connection. She feels it. She definitely feels it inside and with her parenting, but she was judging herself so harshly because she's not parenting the way she feels like she quote unquote should, right?
Mm.
Because she's dealing with her own trauma around healing and nurturing and mothering and all of that Cancerian stuff, which was
Mm.
literally hidden in her 12th house. It was almost like behind the curtain and underneath like a pile of stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, for
it
sure.
was really hidden from her. So we were able to bring that out and create awareness. And then I gave her tips and tricks on how to kind of tease this out even more and, work with that. So that's the kind of amazing stuff that I love to do with astrology. And then
Mm.
also give tools with the aromatherapy to access the limbic region in our brain where we store these memories and these traumas. So
Limbic
like
region.
limbic region, yeah. It's
Wow.
a really cool system that can only be accessed through your nose, your sense of smell, otherwise known as your olfactory system.
Your what? Your
Your sense
olfactory
of
system.
smell, yeah, your olfactory system. So
Oh,
that's how you access your limbic region, which is where we store emotions and traumas. And the emotions and traumas that people store are based upon this astrological energy that you're born with. And it's just super cool how you can merge it all together.
But that's so interesting because isn't the smell
Yep.
is the last sense that leaves us before we die. That's the one that stays the longest.
Yeah.
And that's the one that's strongest throughout your life, right? Smell is the
Yeah.
strongest.
Well, you can't taste food if you don't have a sense of smell, and people will have like it's funny because my grandmother just passed in July of this year, so a couple months ago, and I am reupholstering a chair from her actually, and I'm using all kinds of denim and jeans material. And so I'm sewing last night, and I had some of her jeans, and I was cutting apart her jeans to use for this chair covering, and I smelled her like as I'm cutting it. Like I got this like smell of my grandma. Now I can't tell you what this smell is. I just know that it's her, you know? So it's one of those things you have to really kind of recognize that is it's that like innate part of our brain we kind of understand, but we don't really. Like everybody knows what's, a rose smells like, but how do you describe that? How do you describe what your grandma smelled like? I don't know. I just know that that's her. It's so funny. And
That's so interesting.
it brings out these memories and these traumas. It's almost like a file cabinet, right? Like someone pulled out the grandma file cabinet and grabbed the file and was like, "Here she is. I got it."
That's the
And
one.
you can do that with trauma as well. You can pull out the trauma file cabinet and pull out that file and be like, "Oh, we don't need this anymore. Let's just put that in the shredder." And so I help them put that file into the shredder. We shred it, we get it out of there, and we clear that trauma from them and help them have a different idea, a different perspective of it. And then in the future, that isn't as triggering and it's not as discombobulating because we've literally let go of that energy.
Yeah. And how did you say, so first you sort of open up to like with astrology to see where this trauma is, and then how do you choose to smell?
That's a really good one. And that's where it's more subjective. So there's certain oils and certain oil mixtures or blends that access different things. So if this is an inner child thing from deep, deep, deep in childhood, there's actually a blend that I use called Inner Child. And so that is meant to access those memories. If there's another one where we're blocked to receiving things, I actually have it right in front of me. It's called Abundance. And it is a blend that has the frequency. So now we get into frequencies. It has the blend that has a frequency that is an attraction. It's almost like a magnet kind of energy. So when I put that oil on, I can work on releasing energy that's stuck when it comes to receiving, and I can work on having abundance and bringing in abundance, whatever that looks like for me. There's all kinds of blends. One of them is called Surrender. I was using that for a while. And I'm currently working on surrendering, but they each have their own frequency, just like the planets do. They each have their own frequency and affect us in different ways. It's fascinating. And it's all measurable. That's the cool thing. People are like, "Oh, I don't believe in aromatherapy. I don't believe in astrology." I was like, it's not a religion. You don't have to believe in it.
Yeah.
It still works.
Yeah.
And I have a whole big cool chemistry book on it if you want to learn some more. Like I can read you all about the aldehydes and the esters and the phenols, and like we can dive in. And people are like, "Oh no, never mind." It's funny.
That is funny.
And the same thing with astrology. Like we have the technology to measure the frequency of the planets. We know their wavelengths. We know their hertz levels. We know how they affect our brain, just like how cell phones do and EMFs. Like we understand this information now. It's just not readily available to everybody on a regular basis. So it's not kind of infiltrated into the culture yet. I feel like it's starting though.
Yeah, I would love to. I've been thinking about this. I would love to teach kids about astrology.
Yeah.
Like just
That's what I do.
just easy. Yeah, you teach your kids. But I would like to have like a little, I don't know, astrology teacher in school, like be a part of like the school system.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Mm.
I have a course that I run a couple times a year, and it's called Elementary Astrology, and it's designed for kids and caregivers to learn to understand each other and understand themselves. So
Amazing.
it is, my kids actually teach it with me. And we focus on the elements and on how these planets will really manifest in the specific elements. And I get a little bit into the signs, but really I focus on the elements because that's I think for parenting, the easiest way to look at your kid is
Yeah.
elementally. You know, when I know my kid is
Yeah.
55% earth, I can't just like I can't just use my air on him. Like in
Yeah.
order to move him, I have to dive into my fire or dive into my water, which is even more exhausting for me to get into the feelings. But
Mm.
I literally have to get into fire and use my heat to move
Mm.
him, which means him and I get into it a lot. Like we have to kind of both get a little heated in order for some
Mm.
action to happen. He's got fire, I got fire, and that's where we connect the best. But sometimes it's a little hot. So,
Sometimes it gets hot.
but we know that about each other and we don't hold it against each other. And he's 13 and a half and we have an amazing relationship. And it's super cool to be just like understanding. He gets that I am all air and I flitter around and change my mind all the time. And he'll be like, "Whoa, mama, too much information at once." And I'm like, "Whoa, okay, sorry. Should we write this down?" And he's like, "Yes, please."
Yeah.
So knowing that my kid is really earthy is really helpful. And then same thing with the girls, they're water and fire and air. I have all of the elements. And I needed to help other parents. So I put out this course and I'm going to be running again probably in January. And it's a 5 week course. Yeah, 5 week course that basically dives into the different elements and how you can understand them. And I can't wait to like reach more people, right? Like I want to
Mm.
teach more people about this
Yeah.
because it has saved my sanity with parenting so much.
Mm. And I feel like it's the easiest way to understand each other because you literally look at like for me, I look at my partner and he's a lot of earth, and when he's doing something that annoys me that is super earthy, then I just look at him and I sort of see all of that mud, and I'm like, ah,
Yep.
that's
Yep.
fine because it won't happen in another way. But it will be through like slow and muddy, and that's how it is. So you can look at each other, you can see, go, maybe I look at you and I'm like, well, that's so much air. I see all the air. That's the air talking, and or like the fire. If you have someone that's just super, because my boyfriend gets super annoyed with me in the morning because I have so much energy and
You're
he's
just up and
slow
going.
because I have so much fire. Yeah. And he's like, can you just like can you be a little more quiet? Or can you just like, can you sit still? Can you sit still for a second? And it's because I have so much fire. And then
Yeah.
you can look at someone like, okay, that's all of that fire. I'm just going to try and ignore that fire if I can.
Right.
Or look at someone who is super emotional and be like, I see all that water, it's super fluid. I need to just hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so helpful to release judgment and just observe people. I'm married to a triple Capricorn, and two of his planets are in the eighth house in this, so they come out in this scorpionic way. And he's so good at popping all of my good idea bubbles. I have so many good ideas, and he's just like pop, pop, pop. Nope, nope, nope. Here's why this is stupid. Here's why this doesn't work. And frequently, I'll just be like, "Can you just let one of the bubbles go, please? Just leave it alone." Just, I don't need your stingy popping judgment Capricorn Scorpio self right now. And so this is something we use in daily conversation. I'll be like, "I don't need your Capricorn. No, just don't." Because I understand that about him. I don't judge him for it. I don't get
Yeah.
mad about it. I just call it and then I laugh at it because then he realizes, oh yeah, I'm being quite critical.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That could be great.
yeah, and I do the same thing. My family is not shy to be like, "Whoa, mama, sit down and breathe.
Mm.
You're right. I should probably do that." And then we sit on the floor, we use a bottle of oil, and we all just like take several deep breaths and connect, get in the same frequency, at least in harmony, right? We don't have to be on the
Mm.
same note, but at least if all of me and the kids are in harmony, playing our
Mm.
different instruments, like we're good.
Yeah.
But we all now recognize when we need to call each other out on, hey, you need to go just be by yourself for a while, or you need to go
Yeah.
outside and get some exercise, right?
Yeah.
My firecracker in the house. So it's so helpful. So helpful.
It
I would
is.
love if astrology was in school. Can you imagine?
Mm.
Can you imagine if kids
Yeah.
were separated, not separated, but like put into groups of, like, let's say we have like the earthy learners together. So you have all your Mercury in Earth together, learning in their slow paced, even
Mm.
keeled way, just taking in information at a real slow, steady pace. And then you have all of your Mercury and Fire kids together who are like boom, 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 talking, chatting, bouncing on the balls, ADD, right? Like, wouldn't that be amazing? And
Yeah.
then you have your Mercury and Water kids who are over in the corner, like, what do you feel like learning today? Like, I feel like
Change your
learning about,
emotions.
right, like pandas and how can we save the rainforest, right? Like, it would just be fascinating to actually develop a school to teach children based on their charts.
Yeah.
I'm doing it, but it's my homeschool, so.
Yeah. So that's a great start.
Right, it would be really cool though.
Yeah. I would
It
love
would
that.
be
So more
really cool.
understanding each other. But
Hmm.
yeah, the reason, by the way, why I called generational trauma golden nuggets, it doesn't really feel like golden nuggets. It's because I feel like when you find them, that is a golden nugget because you then can release your trauma. You understand yourself. You find something and you're like, oh, this is what I've been struggling with my whole life, and now I see a connection. I
We
can
see the
let it
pattern.
go.
Yeah.
I see the pattern. That's not mine. I can let it go.
Yeah. That's really been the work I've been doing the last, probably, I'd say the last 3 or 4 years have been really where I've been throwing myself, not willingly, but it's just been the development of my, cycle, my chart and all that. And with Uranus and North Node and all of that going through Taurus, that's all in my 12th house. So
Mm.
I'm being asked to shake things up, right? In that Uranus way, I'm being asked in my chart to really spend time shaking things up with the generational healing and the releasing of stuff. And Uranus wants freedom, and he wants to be chaotic and eccentric and unique. And you can't be chaotic, eccentric, and unique with freedom if you're held down by generational baggage.
Mm.
You can't. I can't be like that. And in a
No.
couple years, it's going to be probably right around 2030. Uranus will be coming across my rising sign, maybe a little bit further, 2035 maybe. But Uranus will be coming across my moon and then my rising. And that's going to ask me to change epically. Like, you can't have a Uranus conjunct rising and not change. Like, it's not a thing. You're going to change how you show up to the world. And I can't show up to the world the same way I did in my 30s as I'm going to in my 50s. Like, that's just
Mm.
not an option. Not an option. Shit has to change. And in order to do that, you have to release the baggage you are hanging on to, which is moms and grandmas and dads and grandpas. And not only that, but then my own past life baggage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of baggage we come here with. Earth
It
school is
is.
hard.
It is. And I just thought, how everyone goes like, oh, I don't want to do this that my mom does, right? I don't want to do that like my dad does. And
Right.
I guess that is a super easy explanation of generational trauma. Like that, those are things and fears we carry with us, I think, because they are stored within us.
Yep.
My dad and my mom are the way they are because of many things that happen in generations above them, and we see them, we recognize them, and we understand that, oh shit, this is in me as well.
Yep.
What am I going to do? And that's where you need to dive into it and find out what it is and how you can release it.
Because ultimately, it really affects how we relate to other people and how we are in relationship how we function with business, how we earn income. Like it affects everything about who we are.
Yeah.
And that's where people don't see those micro connections. And that's what I really want to teach is like how this trauma shows up. I didn't realize for me that receiving was a trauma. So,
Yeah.
get this. So actually taking in and gathering money or things that gifts people want to give. So this goes back to my grandma who passed in July, and she was widowed. My grandfather drowned when grandma was 26, when she was 6 months pregnant with her fourth child. My mom was the oldest at 5. So this woman is 26 years old, 6 months pregnant with her fourth baby, and she finds out her husband drowns. And he had taken a job to like bring this boat somewhere, and the boat went down, and it wasn't good. One of the 3 guys swam back to shore, but the other 2 drowned. So there's no life insurance, there's no social system that is helping, there's no nothing. Like grandma just has to figure it out, right? Well, there were certain things like Salvation Army and whatnot that would bring turkeys and dinner and stuff during the holidays, right? My mom remembers this time when she was about 11, where the Salvation Army came to the home to give them dinner, and grandma would not take it. She turned it away, said, there's people who need it worse than us. Nope, I won't. And meanwhile, my mom's going, but we don't have food in the fridge. Like there's nothing, we do need that. So that trauma of I'm too good to receive, or I'm good enough, or I'll do it on my own kind of energy, then got passed to my mother at 11 years old of, hey, I can't receive things. It's not good. It's not okay.
No, I'm not worthy of it.
I'm not worthy of it. So that then came down to me. My mom became a really amazing gift giver. Like that is her love language, is she loves to give gifts. It's in a way a little bit selfish because like she's kind of ridiculous and over the top about it, which we talk about all the time. But she feels so fulfilled giving gifts to people because it was something from her childhood she wasn't able to receive, right? And usually people end up flip-flopping what they experienced as a child to what they experience as an adult. So for me, it was this excessive gift giving, which then I struggled to receive because I felt overwhelmed with all of the gifts. And I was going through some healing and getting my certification this past summer to do prosperity energy healing for people. So basically using hypnosis to release this kind of stuff, specifically around finances. And while I was doing my training and certification, you have to go through the process yourself. And I realized, holy shit, I don't know how to receive. Like I legit haven't been taught. And what I have been taught was that you either work really fucking hard for it and it has to be really earned, or B, you just have to give it away or you can't receive it, right? There's like these mixed messages. So I did a lot of healing around receiving. And now I very much have like this daily mantra and this daily practice I work on around like leaving the door open and allowing the universe to just like bring me abundance whenever it needs to and whenever I manifest it. And I'm really working on this surrendering and receiving concept. But that's a generational trauma that I don't know if I ever would have put together had I not been doing this prosperity healing and this energy healing and doing the deep self-care work and doing the meditations and the mantras and the all the woo-woo, all the everything that's some people are like, oh, I don't need that. Yeah, you do. You do. I promise you do. If you are in Earth School right now, you need that. You just do. Because you never know what's hidden in that subconscious, in that file cabinet. You never know what is hidden there. So it's trauma, generational trauma is a big deal, and it's definitely showing up in my chart for sure. Time to do the work, Laura. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I feel like all of these woo-woo things are basically just tools to teach us how to listen to our intuition more, because we know all of these things. We do have access to this knowledge. We just don't know how to reach it. And
Yep.
that's why the woo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why the
that's where we use it.
hypnosis. That's why the
Yeah.
oils. That's why the astrology, because
Hmm.
our conscious awareness, the job of our conscious mind is to suppress that shit that hurts, to suppress the pain and the stuff that is uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
our bodies and minds are designed to protect us, and they do a great job. It does a
Mm.
great job, to
Mm.
the point where we don't even understand how deep the trauma goes because we've suppressed it so well.
Yeah.
Especially those earth signs, man. They're good. They're good.
Yeah, I know.
they
Yeah.
just they have so much earth to push it into, right? Like they're like,
Yeah.
we'll just
And
go
also
hide it under
the
that rock.
responsibility, it's like, well, it's okay. I can deal with it. I can take that on my shoulder. I can carry that. That's okay.
I'm strong enough. I can
I'm strong
handle the
enough. I can do
pressure.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love the movie Encanto. Have you seen Disney's Encanto?
Yes.
So the whole movie is about generational trauma. That's what the whole movie is.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The
Oh,
oldest,
I love that movie.
yeah, so watch it again now with this vision of,
Yeah.
generational trauma. The oldest is singing about all the pressure she has coming down on her, right? And I was
No,
like, oh,
hang on. I haven't seen it.
you haven't seen Encanto?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, that's your homework for tonight. You got to watch that.
Oh, yes, I have seen the trailers, but I haven't actually seen the movie.
Oh, you have to watch it with
Yeah,
generational healing in mind and be
yeah,
like, OMG, we have to do all their astrology charts
yeah,
of the characters, the cartoon
yeah.
characters, because you can actually see which ones, like, you're the Scorpio, you're the Taurus, you're the
Yeah.
Capricorn.
But it's so interesting. I mean, basically, if you watch movies, if you just look at life, eh, you will start seeing it. Like, oh, I behave like this because this happened to my father when he was a kid, and
Yeah.
I've been taught to never la 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 la, blue 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 blue. Yeah,
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Oh, people, the second I do astrology readings and I see their moon in this placement, I was like, tell me about your mother and how unable she was to handle her emotions. And they're like,
yeah.
whoa. I was like, that's how that shows up, right?
Yeah, like how did you? How?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
Or, people who have Saturn in the middle of their fourth house, like there's typically
Mm,
some issues with male authority figures in childhood.
mm,
Doesn't always mean male, but some masculine energy in childhood. And
mm,
there's usually some serious boundary issues, some serious structure issues, and
mm.
it doesn't always mean abuse, but it definitely means hard challenges in
Yes.
family life growing up,
Yeah,
you
in
know?
your early years. Hmm.
Yep, yep. And usually when I see Saturn or Pluto anywhere in or near the fourth house, I'm like, let's chat, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's talk about our trauma. And people are like, wait, what? And the reading
I
I did
just wanted
yesterday,
to know my ascendant.
right? I didn't want to talk about that. The reading I did yesterday was Saturn in the fifth, and I have this placement. And a lot of
Mm,
the reading centered around how challenging children are for both of us. And it's much like, so I don't have any placements in Capricorn or any earth placements at all. So for me, I don't view things through the lens of hard work, right? That's not how I view things, which a lot of earth people do. And my husband's very Saturnian, very Cancer, very Capricorn, and he literally measures everything based on how hard of work it's going to be. Like any project we take on, he's got a measurement of the hard work meter,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we were talking on my daughter's birthday. Her birthday was, she turned 11 on 11/8/11, the full moon and the eclipse. And it was a
Oof.
very lovely day. We had a really nice family day. And while we were watching the kids at the park playing, I said, I think I kind of know a little bit of what Capricorns might feel like when it comes to like work. I said, I love my kids more than anything, and they mean everything to me, but damn, they're a lot of work. Like, I have to really work to have fun with them. I have to work to be with them. Like, there's a lot of work. I was like, is this how you view life? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, I'm so sorry. That sucks.
Oh man.
I
Yeah.
know. But that's a flavor of Cancer or of Saturn in the fifth house is like fifth house energy becomes work. It just does.
Mm,
My art is work. I'm reupholstering this chair. This has been 6 days of like work.
yeah.
Don't
Oh my God.
reupholster stuff. It's hard. It's really
Yeah.
hard.
It's interesting. Yeah, because and I have so you have Saturn in your fifth house. I have Saturn in my 11th house. And you know what I always struggled with?
What?
People.
I think I must maybe spit out my teeth.
Just a small just
People
people
in general,
in general.
across
No,
the
but I
board.
across the board. No, but I've had like a lot of lessons around friendships and like groups. It's always been yes, sort of groups of
Groups,
people.
which is
Um,
11th house stuff
which
right
is
there.
11th
Groups of people.
house, and yeah, always like felt like the outsider a lot, and that really hurt me when I was a teenager and growing up. But now I understand it, I accept it, and I think it's totally fine. And
Yeah,
I'm
I bet
super
as
good
a
friends with
teen
that part.
you probably didn't
Um,
fit into any kind of clique or any kind of group.
I did not. I don't, and I still don't. I don't understand groups of people sometimes. Like I don't understand dynamics. Sometimes I feel like a little bit autistic when it comes to have people behave in a group.
I
Because
feel
sometimes
like
when they
that's
do the
exactly how Saturn would show up in the 11th house. Yeah.
yeah, like the regular chit chat, and I'm just like, what's going on here?
You don't understand.
Hello. I don't get it. What am I supposed to do now? Yeah, so that's why I've always been like the one going like along the walls when it's like group settings, like sitting in the corners,
Don't look at me.
observing. Don't look at me, and that would lead to other things. Like I was felt like the outsider. It got me. I was sad, and then it made me angry, and I was like, all right, I'm the outsider, but it's cool because I'm not like anyone else, and I'm much better than everyone. La la la, you know.
Yeah.
So I became that one for a while, and that wasn't good. And now I just see myself as a loving weirdo,
I love it.
and that
I think it's
works.
interesting how we connected with your 11th house Saturn, and I have 11th house Sun and Mercury.
Yeah,
So, like, I don't know, maybe that connection helps us, like, to connect in a way where, like, I help you to almost, like, bring
yeah,
out your Saturn a little bit more and, like,
yeah.
lean into your Saturn more. I don't know.
For sure. And my boyfriend has 5 placements in the 11th house.
He
Hey,
does.
isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So you're
And he
manifesting
actually,
people to help you
yes,
with
I
that.
am. And yeah, I never thought about that from that view. That's right. Hmm,
See, this is how
something to
astrology
think
works.
about.
You start to go,
Yeah.
huh, huh.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And now thinking about all the ways that he's teaching me to about that, I'm just going back to all of our conversations and how I felt so understood by him in these about these
Ta-da!
things. Ta ta, yeah,
Yeah, I don't have any Capricorn or eighth house placements, and that's my husband has like all of that. So I feel
yeah,
like we definitely attract that energy to us. And
yeah.
clearly I've attracted children to help me with that department. So,
Oh yeah,
but
oh
I do
yeah.
feel like that when you said, "Oh, I feel like a little bit, strange in groups. I don't quite understand." This is how I feel about children. Like
Oh,
their
interesting.
insane chaos makes me go like, huh? Like, why would you function that way? That seems so stupid, right? I get very like Capricorn judgy.
That's
And this
stupid.
that's dumb. I'm
What are
very
you doing, child?
yeah. Why are you being a child? What
Yeah,
grow up already. But what I'm finding is now that my kids are getting into that teen and preteen stage, I'm really liking it. And I think I'm a parent that is going to in general do better with teenagers. Like
mm,
I like that we can have intellectual conversations, and I like that they understand boundaries. They're going to push them. I'm well aware of that. But they understand boundaries and they
mm.
understand what they're there for. And I can just I don't know, talk to them in a more mature manner. But like my 21-month-old, she's fucking nuts. And I mean, in general, toddlers just require this immense amount of surrender and chaos, or surrender to the chaos. And on top of that, she's got 6 planets in Aquarius. So
Yeah.
like, and they're all
Which is
square
a sign
to,
connected to Uranus. Yeah, and the
right, and
11th
they're all
house. Yeah.
square to Uranus in Taurus. So it's like chaos is all connected to chaos, and I just
Wow, wow, we were.
I just have to be in this mind of like, that's just, like, we went on Friday. We went to a funeral, a visitation. We were just going to do 15 minutes where you go in, you visit, say hi, and then sign the book and make your condolences and go. And I had the 4 kids with me, and I didn't know the receiving line would be like out the door of the church. And it was my childhood church growing up, so it was very like almost traumatic going back to this childhood church that I don't participate in anymore. And everything was the same, and the smell was the same.
The smell.
Standing in the entrance with my children and going, I had lunch in the cafeteria downstairs, and that's, oh my gosh, the bathrooms are the same, they smell the same, like everything was so weird. So we did this visitation, and even the 20 minutes we were there, this child was like, you can't contain her in any fashion. Like, if she has to be quiet or contained in any way, like, you can't contain an Aquarius, let alone 6 planets. Like, you can't. So we did that, and we learned the hard way not to do that. Then we went shopping right after that at like a craft store. We'll never go into a craft store ever until she's like 20. And we've discovered that because she just like, it was again like a kid in a candy store, right? She was like, oh, there was no containing her at all. And then we tried to go to a musical that night my niece was in. And so she was supposed to like essentially sit and watch the musical. No, she was running up and down the aisle, going down to the pit band. Like, everybody thought she was adorable with her cute little piggy tails and all that. But I'm like, I can't do this. So we ended up taking her into the hallway for most of it. And then my husband took her out to the car for the end of it. And I was like, all right, the chaos child doesn't go anywhere. She has to be contained.
Yeah.
Never. No. So this is what we've like, all our entire family recognized. You can't contain chaos. It's not a thing.
No.
Don't even try. Just don't.
No, I'm just thinking about your farm now. How, like, that's so amazing. You could just, which is a little bit older, just open the door and
let her go.
Child. Yeah.
We do that now. We just let her outside. Just go. 35 acres. Yeah. It's amazing. So we can go to parks. We can go to, our family houses, family relatives' houses. And that's about it.
And that's it.
She won't be going to any restaurants. Oh God, no. No. She got to sit and wait. No. Nope. For food, she has Mars and Taurus. She's not sitting and waiting for food. She wants food right now.
Yeah.
So again, astrology is really helpful for parenting, because it doesn't matter that I had 3 children before. Having a child with 6 planets in Aquarius is unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. And she's only 21 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the same recipe is 2 kids. 2 kids are not the same. Not 2 kids are the same.
Yeah, no, not even sort of.
It's so. I was also talking to my friend yesterday about she just became a mom for the 2nd time. She became a mom. That's a weird sentence. She became a mom for the 2nd time. You do only become a mom once, don't you? Do you become a mom again when you have it?
I think, yeah, you do. Because it's a whole other being that you become a mom to.
Okay. She became a mom again. She's got 2 kids now. And right away, she's like, this kid, they both have the same sun sign, but she's like, they are so different. And then I peeked at her older child's chart, and I was like, okay, well, here is moon in Capricorn. No, sorry, moon in Scorpio, a conjunct Jupiter, for example. And because she always says that he's so intense. And I'm like, yeah.
Scorpio moon next to Jupiter. Absolutely. Jupiter expands everything, and Scorpio's super intense. This kid's got big emotions that are really, really intense.
Yes. So we talked about that, and she was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And then I will talk about a few other things in this chart. And And then, she got this understanding, like, oh, that helps me to know that, I mean, this is so much hard work, but it makes sense that I'm hearing this. And also, she could also see like the nice parts about it, like, and got excited about also, what can become of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
It gives
yeah, it's
moms, I feel
nice.
like it gives parents a sense of peace.
Mm.
Like, honestly, if I really didn't know astrology, I would think something was seriously amiss with my toddler. Like, I'd be like, what? Something's wrong with this kid.
Yeah.
Something's like,
Like
this kid
going to
is
the
not
doctor.
okay. Yeah, I'd be like, this kid is just not okay. She's
Mm.
absolutely insane. So she must be, I mean, she has emotional meltdowns. I've had, like I said, I've had children. Like, I've had three of them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand that they're crazy. This is another level that I didn't know could ever exist or manifest this way. She knows her mind. She is independent. She is freaking genius, but she can switch moods faster than me, which is pretty fast.
Yeah.
And and she is verbal and vocal and tells everybody where they need to go and who they need to be by. She was upset yesterday, and her big brother Elliot came up to talk to her, and she goes, "No, no, Elliot, mama." Like, we understood that she basically told him off and said, "I don't want you. I want mama to
Yeah.
see that I'm hurting." Because
Yeah.
he went to like give her a hug and be like, "Are you okay?" And she didn't
Oh,
want him. She wanted me, and
no.
she
Yeah.
made it very clear that that's what she wanted. And I was
Oh,
like, "Holy
yeah.
shit, kid!" Like, okay, I'm coming. I'm making some dinner. I'll be right there. So she's just really quite intensely demanding, which is that Taurus stuff she's got going. And that Aquarius, they know their mind. They know their mind
Mm.
very well. It doesn't matter that it's crazy. They still know it.
Yeah.
She got everything there. She's got sun, moon, sun conjunct moon. She was born on a new moon. She got Saturn, Jupiter, Venus. There's an asteroid there. There's like a couple. There's more things. It's ridiculous.
It sounds super intense when you have so much energy pointed in one direction. Yeah.
All in the fifth house of creativity.
All right.
I was like, oh, you need art. Oh,
Yeah.
here's some
Yeah.
crayons.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
some
Take
pencils.
this.
What do you need? What art do you need? What form? Here's some
Yeah.
clay.
Maybe a craft store is the place you should be taking her.
Right. Well, thankfully, her mother has three planets in the fifth house, so I am pretty much like a craft store out in my
Yeah.
studio. So we've
Yeah.
got her covered in the art department. Literally, I think I do. If you guys have, if the people listening or watching have any planets in the fifth house, this is how this can manifest. I have hobbies that include woodworking, like cabinet making, sewing, making clay and clay beads and clay earrings and all that, wire wrapping, knitting,
What's wire?
crochet.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
so like,
literally wrap wire.
yeah, like this.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So wire wraps, crystals and stuff, or lake stones. I find I do knitting, crocheting. I actually card and spin wool to make it into the yarn. I do all forms of painting, fluid painting, watercolor painting, acrylic painting, sketching. Look at, I'm looking around because I don't even know what all my hobbies are. It's absolutely ridiculous, the hobbies
Yeah.
that I have.
Yeah.
Fairly insane, actually. And my mom was always like, you should just pick one and stick to it. And now I'm like, if you knew my chart when I was a child, Mom, you would never have said that. You would have
No.
never wasted your breath.
And that's the thing. I mean, you can someone be like, okay, I see that you need this. I won't be able to change this, and this is something that, I mean, will make your life nicer. So
I
why
love
don't
it.
I give it to you?
I love it. My favorite is
Yeah.
to take old discarded things. These are old like bed sheets and stuff, and turn them into reusable things. So I make rugs and I
Yeah.
make baskets and I make all kinds of stuff repurposing. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
recovering a chair using all of the
Cool.
old jeans people have given to me. So I love giving new life to old things. That's like my jam.
Hmm.
So if you have any planets in the fifth house, just know you may be a crazy hobbyist. Especially your
Yeah.
Mars. If Mars is in the fifth, I think that's a big deal. I'm driven. I'm driven
Yeah.
to do the hobbies and to
Yeah.
create.
Yeah. I have I have Venus in the fifth house in Gemini, and that explains why my hobbies are just so different to each other.
Yep.
It's like I go over here, and I go over here, and then I go over here, and I go over here. Yeah.
And you build relationships through those hobbies.
I do.
You have your garden club
Yeah,
relationships,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
have your astrology friend relationships.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Isn't that fun?
It is.
I love discovering all the different ways astrology comes out. One of the things my husband and I are going through right now with our so we started looking into composite charts. And so a
Mm.
composite chart is when you take two people and you basically smush their charts together and make a new chart for that relationship. So my husband and I have a composite chart where we have our sun and our Mercury and our MC are all in Aquarius. And I was like, oh, we're such weirdos and we do really good work together. Like we like
Yeah.
building business together. We like working together. But we're very independent about it. Like he does his thing, I do my thing, but we do it together. So it's such an Aquarian thing that we do. But we were looking at some transits we're having, and where our composite chart is going through a Pluto square Saturn right now. And right after that, it's going to be a Pluto square Pluto, like within a few months. And we were looking into this and talking about this, and now
Yeah.
we're about
You
to
want to
have our
explain a little bit about the Pluto so
yeah.
people understand like
So
how
with
significant that is?
it's really significant. So Pluto
Mm.
square Saturn is basically asking us to
Did you say
really,
Pluto square Pluto?
that's next.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
we're having exact degree Saturn square Pluto right now,
Oh, all
26
right.
and 26. So we are basically being asked by the universe to work really hard on Saturn on transforming the way we are in relationship. And it's in the Saturn and Pluto are in our sixth house of working day to day, our routines, being of service to each other, and health and healing. And we're both doing major, major lifestyle shifts when it comes to eating. We're doing this for our children. We're all going grain free. My husband's been doing a fast for a couple months. I'm not fasting because I'm pregnant, so I'm actually eating more for everybody.
Mm.
But we're being asked to care for each other differently and
Yeah.
to transform. And when Pluto is talking to planets, there's two ways it'll manifest, either very destructively or very creatively. You can choose, but it's going to be one of those two ways. So
Mm.
we've had experiences where it's been destructive before. So we were having conversation the other night, and it's really asking us to go deep because these placements are in Scorpio for us.
Mm.
So we are having to go deep. We're having to readdress our intimate life and really talk about ways we can approach that differently, ways we can deal with traumas and issues that are surfacing and
Yeah.
bubbling up. And we've been together for 23 years. Actually,
Mm.
is it the 10th today? It's 23 years today. Was
What?
our
Today is the
first date.
anniversary?
Our first date when we were 16 and 17. Yeah. I was on crutches and we went and saw a movie. It
You
was a
need to
bad
go on a
movie.
date.
I know. Actually, our date is going to be to reupholster the chair and finish that up. That's what
No,
we're
we
doing.
need to. Well, is that fun for both of you? Or is it
Um,
just fun for you?
Finishing projects is we like to do that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it'll be nice. But yeah, we went on our first date, and it's something that for 23 years our intimate life has been like really just up and down. It's been good sometimes, it's been really tough sometimes. There's been trauma, there's been hurts, there's been just everything you can imagine. And we're really being asked to go deep and explore all the hidden nooks and crannies where maybe we haven't addressed certain stuff. And it's all like that stuff is bubbling up. And we've had a
Mm.
lot of emotional conversations lately, a lot of tears, a lot of like working through stuff. And
Yeah.
it's been tough, but that's what Saturn Pluto is. It's tough.
Yeah.
And we are both aware of the energy, and we are both understanding that we need to work on this every day. So one of the things we did was we started to realize we need daily connection that is dedicated to more sensual time, not necessarily
Mm.
sexual, but sensual, whether it's massage, whether it's just sitting and cuddling, whether it's meditating together, and maybe it's writing each other a letter for 15 minutes and then reading it. But we were we were working on coming up with ways where we can connect intimately and deal with emotional stuff, but do it on a daily basis because that's sixth house energy,
Mm.
daily basis. So we have set aside now for the last 5 days. We've been making it a point to set aside 15 minutes every night, whether it's in the bedroom or out in the studio, just for something connection. Whether
Mm.
that's, the other night he had a crick in his neck, so I gave him a massage in his neck. The day after that, I had a headache, so he massaged my head. The next day, we did meditation together. And last night, we sat and talked astrology for 15 minutes, and we just like
Oh, that sounds so nice.
connected that
Yeah.
way. So each night, we're just making it a point. Are we
Yeah.
timing it? No, we're not like, oh, it's 15 minutes, go, right?
Yeah.
But we're at least putting in the daily effort. And for us, 15 minutes is all we got right now.
Mm.
We're
Yeah.
doing what we can. So that's the hard work around the structure. Saturn is structure, and sixth house is day to day work and routine. And
Mm.
Pluto is like, hey, you need to do stuff different than what you've done before. And we haven't done this before. So
No.
I'm hoping this is enough energy. I'm hoping we're working with it enough, if that
I
makes
think
sense.
that, I mean, I thought you were going to say that you took maybe 5 minutes per day, but 50, I feel like and just the fact that you are setting aside time every day to do something, I think, I don't know if it's enough, but I think it's a lot. I think it will make a huge difference.
Yeah. And we're
Yeah.
talking about, I said, well, do you want to pick what we do tonight or do you want me to? And he'll
Mm.
say, well, do you have any ideas off the top of your head? And I was like, actually, I'm thinking of doing, or I think this would be fun. And he's like, okay, let's do that tonight. And then I'll do it
Yeah.
tomorrow. So we're really staying flexible. And we did look that in our composite chart, we have Virgo in the fifth house.
Oh.
So we are structured, creative people. So
Doesn't that sound like a dream?
right, we're structured with our creativity,
Yeah.
so we're giving ourselves that structure and we're giving ourselves the space to be creative within that structure and to have some flow. So that's what we're working on right now, and we are very well aware that the Pluto square Pluto is coming next.
Yeah.
And I'm personally experiencing the Pluto square Pluto, so like we're already feeling it because I'm having it. So it's something you have to work with. You have to
Mm.
recognize relationships go through transformations, and if you're not aware of the energy, it can be destructive, like
Yeah.
really destructive.
Hmm.
Or you can take some time and put some creativity power into it and make it emerge into a new thing instead
Mm.
of destroying into what isn't a healthy thing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so that's what we got going over here.
Mm. A lot of amazing things. Oh yeah, I was just thinking about how astrology is so good. I feel like we say it a million times, but it's like you realize this, like, yeah, astrology is so good because you can put yourself sort of outside of the situation and become the observer, and you're watching like how the energies are playing out in your life, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
Uranus is there, like opposite my natal Uranus. I see.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And being prepared for it ahead of time too, knowing
Mm.
that in April 2027 I will have a Saturn opposite Saturn and a Uranus opposite Uranus at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't plan on doing
Doing
things,
much? No.
anything normally during that April and May. Like I've already told my
Mm.
husband I'm planning on going on a sabbatical and doing a writer's retreat or something, because if
Amazing.
I don't like, I have to do something major or something major will happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So you sort of you're like yeah, you're
I'm like,
taking the reins.
I'm pre-planning and I'm
Yeah,
looking
it's
at
a
how this
pre-planning.
might manifest in a Sagittarius Gemini situation. And I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, that's intellectual and that's teaching and that's travel and that's thinking and that's learning. And I'm like, I need to go like pour myself into a book or channel writing a book or something that's
yeah,
intellectually stimulating for me.
yeah,
And it has to be away from my children, which cause major nervous system disruptions for me. And if I'm
yeah.
having a Uranus opposite Uranus, I promise you my nervous system is gonna
Mm.
gonna take a hit. So I have to be prepared for that. That's a big
Yeah.
one. It's a
And
big, big one.
yeah, and I was just thinking about another thing about this, like planning ahead and how you make your life easier even it shows up with our cycle, the female cycle for the monthly cycle. And because I was just at a workshop the other weekend that was sort of about the female hormone system and how to follow your cycle and sort of plan your life according to the cycle. And this lady was explaining that she plans all of her things when she needs to be, interacting with people and like teaching and these sort of things. She plans them for when she is on her, what's that called?
The first half, the follicular stage.
The follicular stage, yeah. Yep. When she hits that stage, you have so much energy and you feel like meeting people and you feel so nice and pretty and funny and all of those things.
Yep.
And then she doesn't, and then she plans nothing for the day when she expects her period. Like those days are just nothing.
There's
rest days, and the days leading up to that as well, like keeping that very flexible, because she knows that I will be feeling all sorts of ways. So let's not tie myself up to anything. So that's that's also astrology, because that is how the moon is cycling around.
Yeah.
And it goes around, the moon actually goes around the zodiac in 30 days. It takes 30 days, and that's a month, and that's a cycle, and there you go. Astrology.
Ta-da.
Yeah.
And I know there are certain placements, I want to say Pluto and Neptune are involved, but there's, I don't know the specific ones, but I know there are placements you can turn to find when menopause and stuff will start as well. And there's Jessica Lanyato's podcast recently. I was listening to some older episodes, and she had a guest on that was talking about that. And she had brought up a couple placements about the connection with menopause. And my brain was like, wait a minute, I need some more information. Wait, what was that? Hang on. And so I wanted to go back, and I saved that episode. I wanted to go back and listen to it because it was, again, medical astrology is just fascinating. And we're going to definitely do a show on that in the future. But learning about how the astrology affects your health is fascinating. Just fascinating. For real. So yeah. Anything else you want to chat about today, or should we
No, I just got something in my throat. I think that's a sign.
That's
I got something.
Sign to wrap it up, folks.
Yeah. Wrap it up. Yeah, I think that's a wrap, guys.
That's a wrap. Well, thank you for joining us today and listening in to our random chit chat. This is Ram and Goat Astrology, random chit chat about astrology today. And we will be back next week with a new episode. And if you're interested in being on the show or having a private reading with us, let us know. You can reach us at RamGoatAstrology@gmail.com. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for tuning in. If you would like to be a part of our show or have a personal reading done with us, email us at RamGoatAstrology@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. See you next week.